Hey, welcome to it. Today, it is the day to do what you wanted to do. Don't think about it anymore. Just make action happen. This is the show Biography. I'm Ace Micheals, your host. My guest today is the fabulously, incredibly entrepreneurial, talented businesswoman du jour. She's I don't even know if she still does the magazine, but she was at one point the editor-in-chief of the magazine. Welcome to the show, Cynthia Spirlin. How are you doing today?
I am awesome. Thank you for the warm welcome. I love everything you said. Can you say that again?
I know, like when people are giving you a compliment, just be quiet. Like, just don't say nothing till they're run out of breath. Just keep, yes, yes, yes. I'm all that. I'm all that too. Yes.
Right.
Anyway,
Yes.
but Cynthia, you are a lot of things. Like, I mean, I don't even know the whole backstory. I know that you were editing the magazine. Are you still doing the magazine?
No, I put the magazine on the side a couple years ago. Things kind of took a turn and I needed to step away for a minute, but I had so much fun publishing the magazine. I met so many amazing people and attended event after event, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was out there.
Wow.
Mingle 702, that was my life. Yes.
So let's jump into the questions. What inspired that? That's kind of a big jump for somebody to just go into editing and publishing a magazine. It's not a small feat.
No, no. I just have that desire. I've always loved to read. I've loved magazines, and I was curious about how to put it together. And so at the time, there was a buzz about magazines. And at first, um, I started the magazine on a completely different topic. And as I did more research and what was required, there was a shift that was happening from the paper magazine, the printed, to the digital. And so once I made that decision, I had to have a reason why. Why do I even want to do this, you know? And I really felt that there was a big opportunity for entrepreneurship and that the information needed to be in one place because there were so many places to look for help to get your business off the ground. And so, how to mingle, networking was a big part of that. So, I said, okay, that's a piece where I can fit in. I love meeting people. I'm curious about what's the latest thing, trends happening. So, it just made sense to make the magazine very quick to change with the digital option. And then being out there and listening to what the challenges were, what they needed. So I just reached out to people to contribute to the magazine. As much as I wanted readers, the contributions were the best part. They were from globally. I had a writer from Dubai on fitness. I had a lady that coached on business from Washington, D.C. It was just global, the reach of the magazine. It was so much fun.
Wow. And so would you say that you ran into any black lady obstacles or lady obstacles? Was it harder, do you think, to do this as a woman and especially as a black woman, a woman of color? Or did that even matter?
No, I use social media. I went on to LinkedIn and I did a search on the platform Navigator for a magazine publisher in Las Vegas. And I found one lady and I reached out to her on LinkedIn. She said, "Do you sure call me at this time?" And she said, "Have all your questions ready." So, of course, being the researcher that I am, I had all my questions ready. I wasn't going to ask her the simple things. I really wanted to get the benefit of her knowledge. So I asked
Mhm.
her all the questions, and she was very, very helpful. She told me the printer I could use if I was going to publish. She gave me all of the juice to make my magazine successful. And then at the end, she said, "If you have any more questions, I will be happy to be your consultant." I said, "No, I have all my questions answered." So I've never been so happy to be prepared for a meeting in my life.
Wow. Let's dive a few steps backwards. So I hope that I don't offend, anybody, but especially you. I hope I don't offend when I say, as a black person or a black this, but I'm black. So
Yeah, me too.
and I look at it like, hey, it's a reality. It's almost
Yeah.
like I'm saying, Well, don't mention my masculinity because I don't want that out there. Well, that's part of who I am. So
Right.
it is what it is. And we do have challenges to get things done as African Americans in this country. Um, I believe that it is harder to get certain things off the ground. I'm not scapegoating our race or saying like, oh, please, it's so harder because we're Black. I'm just saying that reality is it is harder when you're Black. There are certain doors that just do not open for you, and you got to work around that. And
Yeah.
God's luck and success to anybody who does. Now, with Cynthia, you started off, from my knowledge of you, the beginning of my timeline story of you is the editor of the magazine, but
Yeah.
you were clearly doing stuff before that. Were you always entrepreneurial?
I have one foot in the corporate world and one foot in the entrepreneurial world. My background kind of is different. My parents have their own business and they felt that they were, kind of forced into being entrepreneurial. They wanted a certain lifestyle and freedom to live where they wanted to and raise their kids the way they wanted to. And the dreams they had could not be contained by a 9 to 5 job
Hmm.
and a limited, like floor to graduate into the income that they wanted. So they started their own business just out of necessity. And they were really, really successful with their businesses and people liked them a lot. And I really admired my parents for, being so brave in the 60s to start their own business. But when I was growing up, they said, get your education. That's the way to go. You don't want to work this hard. We're doing this because we have to. And you don't have to do this. You're going to school. So I actually graduated from high school in LA and attended USC. So that was really, really exciting. The football team was great then. And so I graduated from SC and I worked for the government for a couple of years in the Department of Defense in
Oh,
contracts.
wow.
Yeah, it was a great job. I loved it. Really, really great job. And so when I resigned, they said, what are you doing? No one resigns from the government. And I said, I've got plans. I can't stay here. So I went to law school and I loved law school. My mom, she used to tell me, put that book down when I was growing up. You're reading too much. But I love to read and I got the highest grade in contract law to 500 students and I clerked for a Ninth Circuit Court Judge, Warren J. Ferguson. And so I had a great experience in school. But what I didn't realize was school and practicing law were worlds apart. And that the practice of law is, especially in the beginning, you're just researching all the time. You never have time for your friends, or family, or anything. So I said, I don't like this. This is like not what I had in mind. So I actually went into software sales litigators, and that was a lot of fun. I traveled and I got to go into the top law firms in the country and help them. I felt like I was a part of the team, helping them research and do it really quick with the software and win. So that was a lot of fun. But my passion was real estate. So
Hmm.
after a few years, I was able to do pretty well with the software sales. So I got into in investing. And so that's when everything changed. My parents had got some property when I was a kid. And I said to my dad, this really changed our lives. I was a teenager. I said, why don't you do this again? And he's like, no, I don't like being a landlord. I'm like, do you like counting money? Because this is where it's at. And so it was always in me to do my own thing. And sales gave me a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit. You could make whatever you want. There was no limit on your commission. So you work hard, you make your hours. Why would you work 5 hours when you can work 10 and make more money? But of course, you want to work smart and you want to love what you do. So I got into real estate investing, and that's really what I'm known for. And so I've worked for some of the largest banks, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, but I do negotiation. I work on the defaulted loans. So my background is in pre-foreclosure investing. I used to do a lot of teaching. 100 students come to the lecture on how to invest in pre-foreclosure. And recently I started another group, tax lien mastermind. and I teach people how to take a few dollars and make a lot of dollars. And everyone really loves it because everyone talks about wholesaling. They talk about, pre-foreclosure investing, but no one talks very much about tax liens. And you can buy tax liens for like a few $100s. One of my members, I explained to her how to do the tax lien and how to go to the auction. She took $2,000, won the auction right there in Nye County for some raw land that's worth $30,000.
Hmm.
So that's why people love me, because I
Yeah,
teach them how to make lots of money.
I'm one of them. So you got a new student. You just enriched a new student right here. So let me ask you a question I like to ask people because I love the trajectory of people's lives and their careers, which is something that's fascinating for me personally. But
Yeah.
what thing or things happened in your life that you felt like these were overcome moments? Like these things could have definitely knocked you down or derailed you, but now in looking back on it, you realize that, you know what, I did beat that. And I got through that.
Oh, well, probably, let's see, the most difficult time was 2014. So, coming back from the pandemic, so going into, so from 2002 to about 2008, I was a full-time real estate investor, doing really well and loving every minute of it. And then the crash came. So at that time, being an entrepreneur, I said, okay, let's pivot. And I went into teaching law firms, paralegal staff, how to do the loan modification. And
Oh,
so so many people, especially in Vegas, were losing their homes because of the economy and the loss of jobs and things like that. So we always had foreclosures and the negotiations of forbearances and loan modifications because people get divorced, bankruptcy, illness, different things happen. But this was across the country. The banks had never handled this flood of, crashes of these mortgages defaulting. So anyway, no one knew how to do them, and I started teaching the law firms how to do it, and I helped so many people. I'm really proud of that. So we're coming out of the pandemic. It's like, okay, what do you want to do now? I got into bankruptcy law and started negotiating millions and millions of dollars of debt, and I was doing that. And then 2014, um, I was diagnosed with a tumor, possible cancer. Yeah. And so that changed everything. It was a really difficult year because I had surgery at the beginning of the year. I asked my doctor, if I change my eating, will will that be the solution? And he said, no, no, eat whatever you want because it's too late. It's too late.
that's a terrible diagnosis.
Yeah, and listen, it would happen at Christmas time. It was like the Friday, it was Christmas Eve, and I got the news. And so it was December 2013. So 2014, I had the surgery. And at the same time, my daughter was preparing to leave for college. She was a senior in high school, and she needed surgery as well. And so God was really good. He had paved the way for me to be off for 1 year and not work. And that's why, being an entrepreneur, I encourage other people to do it. I'm so glad that I had the courage to do it, because if I hadn't have done that and I just had to stop working suddenly with no planning, you know, I wouldn't have had the income. But I have a belief that when you are an entrepreneur, you sell something today and something that pays you again and again and again. So at the time, I had started on a fluke, I had this inspiration popped into my mind to start a billboard advertising company. I didn't know anything about billboards, didn't know anything about advertising, but I said, I bet people really love being on the billboard because I'm driving down, the 15 and the 215, and I see these digital boards and they get my attention. So I started a billboard company. I just picked up the phone and I called a company in Las Vegas and I said, "Hi, I want to sell billboards. What can we put together? How can we collaborate?" And they said, "Well, it's Friday. We're done for the day, but come in on Monday and we'll put something together." And we did. And I got to knocking on doors. Everyone I met, I don't care if you're in the elevator, in the bathroom, in the break room, I said, "Hey, do you or someone you know want to be on a billboard?" And they'd say yes or no. And if they said yes, great. Let me get your information because I've got some billboards I want to show you. And so the billboards went up and it was a residual income. And so they were for year contracts. So every time, that started in June. So it went through the next June and on and on. As I continued to sell, I had more and more contracts. So, and then I had advertising companies that would call me and I made a niche for myself because the billboard company, they only sold by the month. So the minimum billboard to get in was $10,000 a month. Okay. So what I did was to differentiate myself was you could be on my board for a day, 3 days, for an hour. I don't care. You can be on mine. So, so I would sell the space on the digital, according to the availability, of time for a day or so or more. And it worked out really great. And even the billboard company gave me referrals because they're like, "We don't do 3 days, we don't do 7 days, but call Cynthia, she does."
Yes.
So it was a great partnership. And so that's what helped me to survive. So I could be with my daughter while she had surgery. And while I had surgery and recovered, the money continued to come in and take care of us but it was a difficult time because just, emotionally, I'm a really healthy person, very positive. And so I never thought I'd hear those words, And then as a single mom, I'm divorced. What's going to happen to my daughter if, I'm not there? So that was a difficult time.
I heard you say a couple of times in this interview the expression, "I had never done it before, but I figured that I might as well try," or there was a niche there. So my question for you, Cynthia, is do you think that anyone could have been as successful as you, or were you graced by God? Was it prayer that gave you the strength to get through all of this and make the success happen? Or was it just being in the right place at the right time, as they say, luck?
No, honestly, it is prayer. I keep an open line to the man upstairs, I really do. Every morning I start with prayer and meditation and just being quiet. At first when I was young in my walk in faith, I would always, "I want this, God. Oh yeah, can I have that?" And I want this, and can I have some more of that? And then I finally grew up. And I stopped asking for things because I realized I had been given so much. And, just a good mind and a healthy body and the right attitude. And so I just started being thankful. And I say, "God, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful because of just being born in America and having the chance to say, oh, you know what, I want to try this. I want to try that. How does that work?" Being able to pick up the phone and call people and just ask them a question. I read a book when I was young in, 20, 30, 10 years ago, when I was younger, 10 years ago.
Back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, it said, it was called The Aladdin Factor. And the whole book was about people that had asked, the impossible question. And if you just ask, someone's going to say no. But if you ask enough and you persist, you'll find someone out there that has your vision or what shares your vision. So yeah, I just like the idea for the the uh, the billboard. I didn't dream of it, wasn't thinking about a billboard. I just get these ideas and they come in my head. People call me all the time. They're like, okay, so this going on, what do you think? And I'm just like, well, have you tried this? And they're like, wow, you're so good with ideas. And I'm just like, but yeah, I was just sitting there and I was like, you know, God, I need, I need an idea. I need, you know, another stream of income. What you got? And so I was looking at the wall and it just popped in my head. I heard a little sound. It said, billboards. I said, billboards? We talk, right? I said, billboards, what?
Yeah.
And he said, billboards. I said, I don't know anything about billboards. And then I heard Google. So I heard billboards was one word. Then I heard Google. And see, the thing is, people don't listen. They're so busy with distractions. So I didn't have the TV on. I didn't have the radio on. It was quiet in the room. And I asked, I said, what can I do? And I sat there going, And then I heard a little voice and it said, billboards. And then I heard another voice and it said, because I said, I don't know anything about billboards. And it said, well, you Google everything else. It was like Google. I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I literally went to the computer and I said, billboards, Las Vegas. And then it popped up, Las Vegas billboard, independent company for 30 years in Vegas. And so I went over there and the guy said, come on Monday. So I went on Monday. He said, okay, you're fine. We're all set. Go out there. And he said, this is the other thing that was really instrumental. He said, if anyone asks you if you're with us, you tell them yes, because there's a lot of scammers out there and people won't trust you. But if you talk to someone and they call and they ask, are you with us? I'm going to tell them yes. So that gave me the ability to go out there, and I didn't have a website. I didn't have a platform. I just went out there and said, hi. And so I went to the first place I went, I said, you know what? I was a little nervous about it. So I went to the next week, I went to a friend that had an office along in Henderson by the 215 and Eastern. So I went over there and I said, I'm gonna go say hi to my friend and tell her what I'm doing, just kind of warm up a little bit. So I went over there and she wasn't in her office. I'm like, oh my gosh, this was gonna be my icebreaker, you know? So as I was walking to her office, I saw a door open and something said, go in there and ask them if they want. So again, I heard this voice. It said, go into that office and ask them if they want a billboard. And I was just like, no, I'm going to go see my friend first. So she wasn't there. So when I walked by the office again, something said, go in there and ask them if they want a billboard. I'm just like, okay, okay. So I walked in there and I'm just like, hey, do you or someone you know want a billboard? Because I'm with Las Vegas billboards or whatever. And they said, yes. And they took my hands. I swear they took my hands, both of them. They took my hands and they pulled me into the office. They said, yes, we've been wanting a billboard. And so that's what I do my whole life, but especially as an entrepreneur, I follow the energy. And so I pray first. And I know that when God gave me the idea of the billboard, there's another side of the equation. There's someone saying that I want a billboard. Is there anyone that I could just have a day, a week on the billboard? Why do I have to have a whole month on the billboard? And I was that solution. So I knew it was a crazy idea. It wasn't my idea. God said, I want you to do this. And so everything I do, it always works out because it's not my idea. It's being submitted, surrender, then knowing that this is where God wants me to be. And I don't want to do this at all. Sometimes I feel like you're a crazy person. You had a magazine, you had a billboard company, you know what I mean? You did loan modifications. It's like, why, you know? But it's not me, it's what, because like, so like when I did the loan modifications, it was really like difficult because people would cry. My clients would say, you know, my wife is going to leave me. The men were really distraught that they couldn't provide for their wives and their family. It was really, really painful. It wasn't what you saw in the news that people were shouldn't have got the loan or any of those stories. These were good people. They had done the right thing and they were in terrible, terrible trouble and they didn't know what to do. And I would tell my clients, um, listen, here's my number, my cell phone, because office closed on Saturdays. I say, if you, that's when you get the mail. The mail comes and then the wife says, what's in the mail? Look at this letter. What are they? We're going to lose our house. I said, listen, when that happens, you call me. And they'd say, Cynthia, on Saturday? I said, yes, especially on Saturday. If you get that letter and you're afraid and your wife's upset, call me. It'll be 10 minutes and we can have the conversation and save your weekend, right? So, so that's how I do things. I really care about what I'm doing. And I know the reason that I'm doing it is not just for the monetary gain. It's a real mission.
Let me, I'm going to ask you this. My grandpa used to say this saying, you can always make money, but you can never buy happiness. What are your thoughts on that? What would you add to that or take from that?
Oh yeah, I agree. Everything I've done, you know, even the difficult times, there were lots of, you know, good times that came out of that. It's what you focus on is what you get more of. So if you focus on the negative, you'll get more of that. If you focus on the positive. And I was happy, you know, in all the roles that I had because I was making a difference in the other people's lives. And I really feel that now more than ever, we have to do everything to support entrepreneurship because, you know, the employers, that system of working 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever, it's broken. It doesn't work. It doesn't support people. It diminishes people in many ways. You know, that their salary is 30,000, for example, you know, and the cost of living is 50. You still have to force your
Right,
foot.
exactly.
It's like you wear a size 9 and they're giving you a size 7 shoe. It doesn't make sense. How can you? And so then people, how are they going to feel if you're a husband and a wife and you have to tell your kids all the time, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. When you need more money, you go get more money.
Mhm, mhm.
You know, my mom had a daycare when I was growing up. And so, you know, she said, okay, well, I'd say, Mom, you know, this is coming up. And then she had dreams for me too. So it didn't matter what anything costs. It's not about the money. You can't focus on the money and say, well, you know, I want 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever. It's how many people can I serve? What value can I bring? That's going to make the difference. So when you work a job, your value is minimal. So that's why you're not going to make very much because if you're in, say, for example, customer service, why would they pay you a lot? There's a lot of people that can fit in that space. They can, as soon as you leave, they can fill that chair. It's not special, it's not unique. So unless you're doing something extremely unique, they're not going to pay you for that. So that's why you say, okay, well, you know, I need to make 70,000, but they're only offering me 50, or I need 50, they're only offering me 30. But what's the value? What's a unique proposition? And that's why entrepreneurship, no one else can do what the entrepreneur does. That's why they're being paid well. They are solving a problem, they're bringing value. And you're not doing that when you're in customer service, when you know, when you're punching the button in. It's not that you're not a valuable person. You are not doing your highest and best. You're not delivering energy to the world. You're just saying, I'm going to play small. I'm going to settle for this $30,000 and I'm going to complain till I retire.
Right, 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 right. I got time for maybe two more questions, but one of
Okay.
them for sure I want to ask you is, in the life of Cynthia, we've learned a lot about the past and even the present. What can we expect in the future? What does this next 2 years bring for you?
Well, I'm excited. I have a couple irons in the fire. You know, I always want to serve. And so, and using the past, I had Martini Monday Mixer when I had the magazine. And so that was a lot of fun. People loved that event. So I've gone with the franchise and I purchased ownership for a Los Angeles Southwest networking group. It's called Network in Action. And they're in 30 states and they're based in Texas, Houston, Texas, but they're growing, growing, growing. And so I have the Los Angeles area territory. So I'm busy building that. And so I'll have a virtual group. And my dream is to have Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Phoenix. So having a virtual group where they meet and we can cross pollinate. So if you need someone to refer a client for help in Los Angeles, you have a trusted resource there. And then I'm also teaching how to build a sustainable business through word of mouth marketing. And I have the referral marketing summer school that I'm putting on for solopreneurs. And so it's how to, make those connections meaningful so that you have not just yourself marketing your business, but 15, 20, 30 other people. Strategically, you're working together, collaborating to give good referrals to one another and be a trusted resource for another associate. So that's what I'm doing right now. Still working with the entrepreneurial supporting because, that's really the future when you can provide for your family and when you're not stressed about finances, it just changes dynamic in the family and incredibly. So I want to be a part of that. And that's a legacy that I'd like to leave.
So speaking of legacy, let's say that you run into a young entrepreneur, male or female, that wants to embark on your career and you have the knowledge. What would you say to this person? What kind of advice would you give? What kind of caveat do you have? Would you give to this person who's beginning the career that you want, that you lived? What would you say to them?
I would definitely encourage them to know that they're not alone, that there's a silent partner that's available, the creativity from universal source to support them. I would say always strive to be better version of yourself. I think that's one of the things I love about entrepreneurship is that growth of finding that potential inside yourself. The answers are within, and if you're quiet, you can get those answers. And you can create whatever you want out of your uniqueness. You don't have to be a carbon copy or compared to other people. You can really be yourself, and people do accept you. Everyone doesn't accept you, but you don't need everyone to like you. As an entrepreneur, you're not, financing $1 million business where you have staff of so many people. Definitely balance is important. So have, a virtual assistant, an affordable resource. Make your family work. I know my parents made us work when we were growing up in the business. If you can't, I try to get my daughter to help me all the time. I'm like, listen, part of this money is for you. So come on, help me.
Bring a little elbow grease. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But the best part is just having that freedom and being able to live life on your terms. I don't think there's any better way than to be an entrepreneur and have all your eggs right there. It's the best life you could have, I think.
And I said that we'd come back as we were speaking before the show started, and I've got like literally a minute. But you had some really great things that you had to say on the scenario of a person who's made a lot of money, but they find themselves on that deathbed, or it doesn't even have to be the deathbed, but that bed. And when you're sitting in that bed and you think, what do I really want the most? More money or more time? Right?
Right. Yeah. At the end, I was fortunate to be with my parents as they took their final breaths, and they were very successful as in their businesses and in their family and the community. And in the end, it wasn't their homes, their cars, anything like that. They only cared about the people, the relationships they made. That was their legacy, and that was the most value that they had. So I'm going to take that away for my next couple decades, whatever I have left. And it's really about the relationships.
And that's it. We're out of time on biography for today. I want to thank my guest, Cynthia Spirlin. And you can find her on all of the links below if you want to follow.